Welcome back to the Ponderosa. I am Seth Varnadore, and now that the transfer portal is, I think, closed, seemingly, I'm sure somebody will sue and it may open back up. But for now, let's call it closed. I want to take a look at the two big name quarterbacks that USF signed. Obviously, ended up bringing in four guys in the transfer portal. I think the last two are probably more of bench guy, camp arm guys, and the competition will most likely be between the first two guys they brought in at quarterback, and that's Luke Cromenhope, who was at Florida State and Mississippi State last season, and then Michael Van Buren, who was at Mississippi State 2 years ago, and then LSU this past year. So I want to take a look at both guys, some of their film from their previous years. Van Buren's obviously played a lot more, and I'd imagine he's going to be the guy that would have a leg up early. Cromenhope has not played as much. He hardly played last season. So both guys kind of got put into starting positions their freshman years. Van Buren a lot more games and a lot more success. And then both were going to be going into backups last year, and Van Buren ended up playing a little bit more with injury to Garrett Nussmeier. So a little bit more film on him. He's got a lot more reps so far. So let's go ahead and take a look. Neither guy's super experienced. Just looking at the numbers, just kind of what can the numbers tell us? Van Buren's got over 400 passing attempts, 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And then Cromenhope has 93 passing attempts in his career so far. 575 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Neither guy. What's funny is you kind of watch the film. It's like neither of these guys are bad athletes. I'd say they're both willing runners, not like game-breaking runners, and the stats kind of back that up. Van Buren for his career is averaging 1 yard a carry. So a lot of that is because of he got sacked a ton, it looked like, at Mississippi State. But his LSU numbers aren't much better. And then Cromenhope, who's seen as a more athletic guy, or seen as a more athletic guy at Florida State, has 71 career attempts, averaging 1.9 yards per attempt. So neither guy is cracking 2 yards a rushing attempt. So I would not say that is a big part of their game. So you're going to lose a ton at the quarterback position in terms of running the football. But they aren't slugs. They can move a little bit, and we'll take a look at that. So without too much more talking, let's get to the film. Some of this is really good quality. Some of it's lower quality. So bear with me. It's getting harder and harder to find a great YouTube video downloader. So it used to be a little bit easier to find, but we'll look at some drop back throws, some RPO throws, some movement throws for each guy, some of them running. And we'll kind of look through the good and the bad and maybe what their strengths were, what some of their weaknesses might have been. But we'll start with Van Buren. This is back his freshman year playing at Mississippi State. I had a pretty good game against Georgia. You'll see here, he's got times where he can really push it down the field really accurately. Now, Mississippi State plays in a similar system to what we just saw here recently at USF. So they do kind of use those switches at the release and get those guys open with the tempo and the wide splits. But he's shown the ability to kind of push the ball in the drop back game. And you'll see here, there's some nice ones down the field. This is a little bit of movement throw, but it's also the design of this the whole time is you're trying to get the back running the wheel here. And that's your first look. And then you're going to have the tight end come across late. And that's kind of your check down. So it was good to see him kind of look here, see that the wheel's covered, find the check down, and not take a sack, get the ball in your hands for a first down there. And this could be drop back. It could be RPO here. It's hard to tell. We're not getting a ton of movement downfield, and it could just because we're not great on the offensive line, but it looks more like a play action pass type thing to me. But good job with the ball placement right there on the in cut. And there's times like these where it's just like, man, that's pretty big time. They're going kind of they're going slot fade down here, or a slot fade to the top there. And there's not a ton of room to put this ball into. And he's also got a little bit of pressure in his face when he releases this thing. And it'd be hard to walk it down there any better. Like outside shoulder, bang, that's pretty good right there. And that does get called a catch. So really good stuff right here, getting the ball out of my hand quickly on a mesh concept for the touchdown. And this is later in the game, delivering another great ball vertical down the field. Really good stuff. So there's a lot of good in this game against Georgia. Here's some from his time at LSU in the bowl game. Early in the game again with some pressure in his face. They're running kind of a flood concept. I don't know if this guy's got an option in the middle there, but top guy's running vertical. Let's see if we can get him. He's vertical. He's sitting down. I don't know if he's got like an option to break out or in. This guy's running the out or the sail potentially. And I'm just kind of high-lowing at number 2. If he comes down, I can throw it over his head. And we see right here, good job kind of taking my steps, seeing the corners vacated. So now I'm high-lowing number 2, get the ball out of my hands with good timing. And now this is all the receiver at the end there, but really good job getting him a chance to catch and run there. So good stuff. A 3rd down and 3. Quick throw. 14 is obviously, I think it's Trey Green or Trez Green or something like that. He's like 6'7", really good player at receiver. So that's helpful. But Van Buren in this bowl game was able to push the ball vertically and kind of find this hole. It looks like where, they might have caught them. They might cut this corner trying to kind of split the difference between 1 and 2 a little bit, and he's able to kind of hit this thing outside. But they hit that spot a couple times in the game. Kind of on the move here. So kind of good move in the pocket. Find your open guy here on kind of a juke route type look. And this is a pretty well-thrown ball, but this is a lot of like the receiver does a pretty good job here as well. But if you're kind of throwing a back shoulder type ball, this is a pretty good spot. Give your guy a chance. And if your guy is 6'7", probably give him a chance to go up high and get it. It's probably a good idea. So good idea and good throw there. Good placement. Then right there gets the ball to his hands quick. So they're running, looks like they're running probably snag down here. A lot of teams will do this, or he's going to kind of run the snag. I'm guessing he's running the corner. He's the flat control player. And then this guy can kind of have an option here. And if this guy widens, you should come back to the option because either he's sitting right here wide open or he's broken across the face where this guy left. So right here, easy read for the quarterback. This guy pushes this way. Find your option runner. Good job by the option runner getting across face there. Hits him on the run, gives him a chance for a run after catch. So good quick processing, easy, not asking to do a lot. Right here, blitz coming, gets the ball to the crosser. Again, 14 had a really good game, so he's a pretty good player. We're kind of finding him on the crossing route there. And this part's him, but finding him initially is a good job by Van Buren. Again, this is a similar spot to that first one down the field. It seems like they're maybe trying to get the corners might be trying to overlap onto 2 potentially. And he's able to find that kind of hole outside and hit it kind of with a hole shot type throw. Good job getting out of the pocket here. What you'll see from both these guys is they're decent on the move. Van Buren, they seem to like to move a lot. And we'll get to some of his movement throws in a little bit. Part of that is because the offensive line, I think, at LSU wasn't great. But part of that is he was pretty good at it as well. So here's a good one. Let's look at right here. What's nice about this throw is look at the anticipation of it. And this is why I think he's got a leg up. He's played a lot more. And there's also like I'm anticipating throws is a hard thing to teach. So they go switch release. So right here, he's throwing it now. My guess would be this guy may have, or if it's, I don't know if he's automatically breaking it across face, but if the middle of the field's open, he's probably should be. It could be called, but if it's an option, he should be if the middle field's open. So right here, Van Buren releases right now. He hasn't made his break yet. The guy turned his eyes. Ball's on target and accurate. Gets him down there for a chance to score to give yourself a chance to get back in the game there. So this is from earlier in the year against Western Kentucky. Nice catch and throw. Both these guys, I think, when they had great movement there in the pocket, it seemed like Van Buren, I think, is a little bit further along in terms of kind of getting through his reads a little bit more. But he does have some misses, and we'll get to those in a little bit. Right here is kind of like could be an RPO type look. But again, some of this is I've got a really good, like this is covered, but back shoulder with a guy that's huge, give him a chance to go up and make a play. You do. Again, beating the blitz with the ball. Good ball placement too. Nice play here where, you see some of the athleticism. You got to throw that, gets tipped, comes back down to him. He's able to make a guy miss, and then pick up 7 or 8 there. And then here's he's pretty good throwing on the move. So there's in the Georgia game. So that's after that first initial bomb he throws. Really good job kind of on the move there, hitting his target. They moved him around a lot in this bowl game. So this is kind of a dash concept. This is something USF did last year, but you'll see a lot where there's like a quick game throw over here, and then there's another throw over here. So I can kind of look here first if I get it. If they give me the easy throw like a hitch or a slant potentially, something like that, I can take it. And then if they don't, then I roll out. So you can kind of see him here. They get him on the move. I'm looking here, don't like it. Now I can roll out. Hit my tight end coming across. So right here you can see it again. Looking, could throw this out cut maybe, but don't like it. I don't have to stay on it. Move, come back out. Rolling to his left. Nice throw away from the defensive back. Catchable ball. Rolling again. Defense gets confused. Able to throw the touchdown there. Again, here's a look at him moving around a little bit. Rolling the pocket left. Nice throw. So he makes a ton. This is not an easy throw to make rolling to your left. Some schools, like now, maybe this isn't the best for this the biggest indicator of being a great scheme, but like Florida under Billy Napier refused to roll a quarterback away from his throwing arm. It's such a difficult throw. They're just like, we're not going to do it. And that's just part of their offense and some places are like that. We're not going to roll a guy away from his throwing arm because it's so difficult. Well, he's to rolling left here and just throws a dot on the sideline. So ton of talent for Van Buren. And they like to move him a lot. So both these guys you see have some athleticism, can throw on the move. So that's like a common theme between the two. You'll see when we look at Kromenhoek as well, kind of these movement. So, you try to, as you look at, you can kind of, as you watch who they recruit, you can try to get a handle on, okay, so what's the scheme going to be if you're recruiting these type of guys? So here's some RPO looks, getting the ball in your hands really fast there. That's the thing. Van Buren's played against behind some pretty bad offensive lines. Another RPO where you can kind of get it out of your hands. Good read, and then the arm angle here just to get it out for the first down. Another RPO look here. On the back hip, so not the best ball, but good catch there. But you can kind of, okay, so what do you want to do? Well, both these guys have some athleticism, so um, and some movement skills. You can throw on the move. There's one earlier. It's like it's kind of it could be an RPO, it could be just a pure play action play where you got the post, the wheel, and the flat. A lot of people are doing this combination. You actually see this from Florida State later when we look at Cromenhoek. But it seems like both guys can throw on the move. Both guys could run a little bit. So here's some. I won't say either guy is a plus runner. I'd say they're both willing runners and able, but they're not. I don't think you would game plan around them running the ball. Now LSU has some design runs. Both these, you can see both these teams had some design runs for these guys. I would not say that like these are running quarterbacks by any stretch. But they aren't slugs. They're athletic. So here's like a play where, you know, this is designed read. So here, and then he's to the flat. So if I got a guy like him that can throw going left, this is a great play. I can pull it, and this is just modern triple option. Here's the dive guy. Here's the pitch guy. I'm the keep guy if I'm the quarterback, just like normal triple option you'd see from the academy teams. So he pulls it. They took the dive. They took the pitch. So that means that's a quarterback keep. And he's able to keep it. He's got the ball in the wrong hand, but, you know, that's all right, I guess. But again, he's not a slug. He's a good athlete. This is not Byron Brown, but not a bad one. And then you hear again, giving him the option to run. He's not able to get in, but gets it down to the 1 yard line. This was going through. You also want to look at some bad. So he did have some bad misses in some of these games. Here's one chucking I think a slot fade here, or he going slot fade and just missing, and also like forcing it into coverage. I think he thinks he has the 1-on-1, but he misses over the top and it gets picked by the safety. And you miss way inside, the safety's got a chance at it. Here he's throwing a comeback outside. The pocket's fine. I mean, it's not perfect, but that's not a bad pocket. I take my steps, 1, 2, 3, hitch, throw. That's pretty clean. And I'm kind of bouncing it out there. Then this one, you end up getting a call, but I think you get a holding call, but you also have it seems like this thing, you got a guy over the top here. Now, maybe if there's no holding call, that guy's not in on the play, but it seems like unless this guy really got pulled really bad and you do see a flag, the thing's way overshot. But the more concerning thing to me is, how many guys you have over top of this ball, and you're just kind of taking a shot to take a shot there. Throw to the sideline here. I mean, it really looks like it's curl. Now, maybe the defensive back jumped this and he decided to throw it, but this is not a great miss right here. I don't think his receiver helped him a ton. And then here he tries to throw it over a guy. It's tough. I don't see, this guy did drop from the line, but he's he's an outside backer. So maybe you could blame the scheme for this, but try not to throw over people. Tries to throw it over him. It gets picked by a big-bodied guy. And he had a few passes in this game that were tipped. You saw the one he caught earlier. Here's one where it's 1st and 10. You got a blitz called. All right, so you kind of need to have an idea, especially if you're an empty. If I'm an empty protection, I only got 5 guys in protection, so I need to have a pretty good idea if I'm an empty, kind of where my quick throw is, where my pressure release throw is. And you'll see you've got this guy breaking in right now. And I could drop it to him right now as I see this guy starting to blitz there and get the ball out of my hands quick. He tries to make a play, gets sacked, where I've got a pretty good throw right there. This one here, back behind. Again, it's going to be a tight window. So this is not an easy throw, but I want to miss high and long. This thing is missed a little bit short back here. Rather miss up here if I'm going to miss. Receiver's able to get hands on it. So, I mean, you give your guy a shot to make a play, but, it gets knocked away because it's a little short. And that is a super tight window. So this one's probably a little nitpicky. But, you got a chance. Maybe you throw it earlier. So let's look at some Chrome and Hope. I thought with him, where Van Buren looked a little bit more, you could tell he's played more, I think. He looked a little bit more polished. Also, the offense at Mississippi State, I think, is a little bit easier as a freshman to come into and not have to, they can generate open guys a little bit easier. I don't have to go through as much, and maybe it's a one guy read, and I can make a pretty good decision, get somebody open. I thought when Chrome and Hoke, when it was like one read and he was pretty sure where the ball should go, and he took his steps and threw it, he was pretty good. It seemed like when he had to maybe get to the second or third guy or second or third part of the read, maybe not my first read where it's this guy or this guy, maybe when I had to get to the next part, it looked a little bit more difficult for him. And I don't think that's uncommon with a young guy. It seemed to me he's a guy that didn't need to play his first year, and he had to play his first year. So it kind of was a guy that maybe got rushed into it a little bit, that needed some seasoning. But when he kind of had an idea where he wanted to go with the ball and just took and was able to take his steps and throw, he did you could kind of see why he was a 5-star recruit. Right here, he's going to rip a dig. He does have a bit of a wind-up in his throwing motion, but he's got a pretty live arm right there. Throws that dig into the window. Another one over the middle. Deep curl route, going over the ball. This one's a little worrying just because the safety just about gets back to it. But he's able to fit this thing in there. And this is a bad Charleston Southern team they're playing. This was a good one here to kind of see him move in the pocket because that was kind of his big critical weakness. I felt like you watching this, he'd pull his eyes down really early sometimes. Now, part of that's because he got beat up a ton because his offensive line was not very good. But here he's able to kind of move in the pocket, kind of give a difficult arm angle, put it on his receiver, give a chance for him to make a play. Play action throw here. Again, when you kind of have a pretty good idea, like this is a pretty, I think this is kind of a pretty easy read. I'm really thinking post or the wheel here. So as soon as I know the post is taken away, I'm going to throw the wheel, which he kind of throws even though it's a little bit covered. And he's got a lot of time. You see how much time he has to kind of let this thing develop. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. Able to step into the throw here. Gives his guy enough time to win down the field. He can deliver a catchable ball down the field, right? Again, right here, you're going hitch. I think this is like Haas juke to where I got hitch, seams, and this guy can kind of have a juke route. So a nice, easy read for the quarterback. If they give any ground at all outside, rip the hitch. He does. Nice throw. So again, if he kind of knows where he wants to go with the ball early, he could be accurate and deliver the ball on time. Right here. Oh, not too bad. On time and on target there. Right here, you're going to get the back motioning out, and he's going to have an option route. So he knows when he sees the linebacker go out with the motion here, right, that he wants to work that option route. He knows where he wants to go with it. The back breaks across face right here. Really catchable ball. Even though he bobbles this is thrown exactly where you want it. He wins across face. He bobbles it, but good accurate throw. So again, I think when he knows where he wants to go with the ball, or when it's kind of an easy decision. So here, got a one high presentation, and I'm running verticals. So I'm really kind of looking if this guy, he's already shading the two receiver sides. But if I get him to move more to the two receiver side, I'm ripping that ball at the seam. Again, 1, 2, 3. I can rip the ball in the hole at the seam there. So easy read, easy throw. He also did a pretty good job moving him around, throwing on the move. We'll call this a movement throw because he could throw this one flat. They shovel it back in. So this is I've seen some people talk about some really good stats in some games. This is one of his touchdown passes here. It's just a shovel. This is a good job of movement, kind of post pocket movement here. Keeping his eyes up, negotiating the pocket with his feet, getting outside, tough arm angle to find a guy at the sticks on third down. Good job. Again, rolling him movement here, able to hit this guy on the run. So you can see kind of the building blocks of, okay, this guy's got a pretty live arm at times. He's not a slug. He can move around a little bit. You can see the kind of the good stuff. Right here, he's going to make a play when he's pretty dead to rights, makes a positive play, makes something out of nothing a little bit, right? So he's got some creativity. He's not just a total statue back there. Roll here, doesn't like the initial, comes back to the backside for a 2-point conversion, right? Good stuff. RPO look, again, these are easy reads. I'm either giving it, I'm handing it off to the back, or if this guy kind of pulls and there's no safety back here, right? Where's that run fitter coming from? There, he's down, easy read, throw, good throw. RPO here, easy read, good accurate throw. So to me, that seems to be when he's kind of able to, and here's a little runny, when he's able to have kind of decisions where he makes a decision quickly, or it's kind of an easy decision. Now, some of that's because he hadn't played a ton, right? He's a true freshman. So that's part of the deal. But that seemed to be when he played his best. Pretty good. You see, he's not unbelievably elite in the run game, but he's not a negative. So you can take off in the pocket, get you a first down. He played some safety in high school, so he's not, afraid of contact, which sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad. They use his legs at FSU a decent bit. I think that's a dimension of his game. I don't think that's like you're not going to win a conference championship based on his legs. I think they can probably get you, maybe somebody doesn't respect him, you can get some big plays, but I don't think he's going to, like we said, he's not Byron Brown. Neither of these guys are that kind of athlete. But you got to respect their legs. Here's what I thought was his biggest issue was I think there are times where he overestimates his own athleticism. He thinks like right here, he's going to try to get out of it. Thinks I can kind of get the edge. Never gets the edge, and instead of throwing the ball away, just steps out of bounds, right? That's a young guy thing. But, this is a bad sack to take. Here against Florida, I think you would probably watch this and say, well, the left tackle gets absolutely killed. But this is one where they're going to go that same concept that he threw a touchdown on pretty much earlier, and we saw Van Buren run it. We're talking about you have this outside guy running a post, you have the wheel, and then you have a flat player, right? But I think you saw on the wheel he hit earlier, right? He had one where he rolled out and hit the wheel. That was great. The one before that kind of dropped back, right? He had a ton of time in the pocket to let that wheel develop, right? I think he's got to learn he's got to cancel these things a little bit quicker, right? So right here, you're thinking, oh, well, tackle got beat. And then tackle does get beat pretty quick. But I think as you play more, you'll feel, all right, the post is dead. The wheel is dead. I just got to drop it down. You get out of your hands. That's what you watch Indiana. That's what Mendoza was so good at, just to get the ball in my hands really quick. So right here, if I'm looking here, the post is dead. So right here, they've got 2-on-1 on the post. And right here, he's in the hip pocket of the wheel. All I'm really looking for, if I'm the quarterback here, and I'm teaching this, if I'm the quarterback coach, right, I'm thinking post. So right here, post is dead in my mind. And then all I do after that is I high-low him. If the corner is gone, right, then high-low him. If he turns and runs, then I should be throwing it to the flat because who's covering that, right? So right here, he just throws this ball to the flat. You've got a chance. Now, he still might have gotten hit right as he threw it, but you can just see, I guess my worry here is more he's still waiting on this wheel, and you don't have that much time. I think he was going to throw the wheel. You don't have that much time, right? So, and if I can just right here turn and drop it to the check down, well, that's a big play I've got. He catches it. His back's turned. These guys all have their backs turned. This thing turns into a gigantic play with a really easy throw from me, but I'm kind of holding here, and we'll kind of watch it in slow motion here. I'm holding on this thing way too long and still want to throw this wheel that's covered when I could just drop it down. Now, is this a little bit of a tight window? Yeah, it is. But this is kind of the part that, right here, you can see what's my pressure release throw. He's going to kind of inside stem. This guy's going to break out. So I'd imagine this quick throw to the out would be my kind of, maybe not necessarily a hot, but that is a pressure release throw. If they're bringing a ton of guys and it's man pressure, a quick out can be a decent pressure release valve, right? And so if I'm looking here and I'm guessing this guy, right, I look here that his eyes, he's on the line of scrimmage and he's staring right at the receiver. That is a man-to-man posture to me if I'm looking out there. That's man posture. So if that's man posture, I would assume, okay, well, this guy would have him man. Well, if that guy blitzes, I need to be thinking, okay, this guy might pop right here, especially if this would have to be the guy that covers him, right? So when I see pressure, and this may be something you get more experience, I just catch it and I throw the ball right now. What I worry about here is my eyes come down. I kind of miss this throw right here. And you'll see there's a couple examples against Florida where I get some pressure in my face and my eyes just come down immediately. And you can't beat the blitz with your eyes down right here. So right here, this is more of I just got to get the ball in my hands quicker. And he tries to kind of run his way around, and it's not going to happen, right? Here's one against Florida where now maybe everything was just ate up and there's nothing to go to. But right here, he looks, and now his eyes are immediately down instead of trying to find maybe somewhere to go with the ball. Now, maybe there isn't anywhere to go with the ball. And I think some of these are, I'm probably being a bit of a tough grader here on him. And some of these are, well, their offensive line was pretty terrible and it's tough to play behind that. Yeah, that could definitely be part of it. But, you don't want to pull it down too fast sometimes. Here, you look here, maybe there's nowhere to go with it, right? So maybe that's being a harsh critic there, but that was the one thing. And so we're kind of back to the top here. So that was kind of the one thing with him that was like, all right, some of this is probably playing behind a bad offensive line when maybe you're not quite ready yet. You maybe wanted a year to kind of learn. Because he hadn't played a ton of quarterback, I don't think. He played his last 2 years and was really good. But, it takes some time to adjust to that next level. So, not everybody's going to come in and be ready to play right away, especially in systems and with offensive lines that aren't great and systems that may be, like the USF, the former USF, the Heupel, that kind of system where you can kind of come in. There's a lot of easily generated open guys like there was in Mississippi State. For Van Buren. So I think Kromenhoek came into a tough situation. You can see when he kind of knows where to go with the ball and he's given time that he can make some throws. So he's a guy that I think maybe a year sitting at Mississippi State while you kind of look at it and you're like, man, this guy didn't play at Mississippi State at all. He was a 5-star at Florida State, left there. They didn't seem, too broken up about it. Some of it was, I think, I still think it was his choice to leave. I don't think there were, but it seemed like some of it was they didn't want to play for Malzahn in that offense. Okay. And then you go to Mississippi State, you don't play. Maybe you're thinking, it's not a great sign. But, it may not have been the worst possible thing, right? Sit, learn, probably what he wanted to do his first year. I don't think he played in 4 games. I could go look real quick at his game log. So he may have been able to preserve that red shirt this year. Yeah, he played in 3 games. So he was able to preserve his red shirt. He probably should have got it the year before. But he's a guy that, I think could improve a ton, which is what Van Buren's played a lot more. You see a lot more from him on film just because he's played more and he played in some better situations too. But both these guys have potential and they both can move a little bit. So I'd imagine this is going to be something where the quarterback is asked to move a little bit. I don't think this is going to be a quarterback run heavy offense. I think it could be an element. But definitely looks like one where they might want guys that can, where they can move the pocket, roll them out, that type of stuff. It will be really interesting to see what direction they go. But I did want to take a look at both guys because that's something I know a lot of you here in the Patreon and the Ponderosa kind of wanted to see what are these quarterbacks about. So took a quick look. I would guess that Van Buren would be the leader in the clubhouse right now, but Kromenhoek does have some nice physical tools. We'll see if he can kind of put it all together. Either way, it should be a fun battle, I think. I don't think the other 2 guys, now maybe I'm totally wrong, but just kind of brief, quick looks at them, I don't think they're part of the conversation just yet. I think it'll be these 2 at the lead here, but either way, should be fun spring. Hopefully we can get some more access to practice. Maybe they'll do a coach's clinic up there. Be a little bit less secretive than the last staff was in terms of scheme stuff. Would be fun. And if they do, I'll make sure to get that stuff to you guys. Thanks for being here on the Patreon, members of the Ponderosa. If you're enjoying this, tell your friends. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next time with a little bit more of the Bay Area Examiner Film Room.